All right, so K100 Talks this week. Basically, what happened is after I watched the CM Punk interview on Dynamite this Wednesday. If you listen to our roundtable on Patreon, one of the things that I said was I was always a humongous CM Punk fan. I loved his pipe. I loved his promos in ROH, but I especially loved the pipe bombs he had in WWE. And I understand that to do a lot of those type of promos, you're channeling like some inner anger that's probably not there anymore, but you can still manufacture the I come back to see him hit good promos and I see like this watered down version of what he was. And that night I just went down this rabbit hole and I was watching like old Attitude Era stuff, and I was starting to compare like the Attitude Era to this era. And here's a couple things that I'm going to bring up, and a lot of them you've been saying, Disco, before, but it's just so. First off, we were going head to head. Everybody knows this, against WWE, right? Mm-hmm. When they were hot. Okay, these guys aren't even doing it with them when they're not hot. All right. Then I started to look at the characters, and I was like, Hall, Nash, the NWO, Goldberg, Rock, Austin, DX. Bro, there's nobody like that in any company right now. Maybe Roman's the closest thing to somebody like kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody, absolutely nobody, and I'm including all the guys I just mentioned, that can cut promos like the guys back then. Hall, Nash, Rock. You could go to ECW. Who cuts promos like Raven, like Foley, like New Jack, and take out the bad words? Nobody. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Cornette. Nobody, bro. You can't even compare it. You really can't. And to me, it's like the Attitude Era. That's what we grew up with, And this is kind of like the Nerd Era, which is cool. That's the backbone of the industry. But I just don't see where you can compare the two.
The one thing that you notice, okay, when you watch the shows, is the crowd reactions during the matches and the promos. Bro, the wrestlers back, The Rock, Austin, they would send the crowds into a frenzy. Like people just going crazy, cheer like when your team scores an inside the park home run in baseball or a late thing, they're like that type of emotion. The crowd responses today are very controlled. Like guys will do a spot, then you'll see the crowd respectfully applaud like this, and they'll clap, so when there's a time for a chant, they'll all chant together. This is awesome. Mm-hmm. Like this, like there's no like emotional release from fans. They sit there, they're like critics, they applaud the spots, they something. Bro, the crowds back then just went crazy. Like if you were at
a football game,
I would cut a promo on you before the match. Okay, you would cut a promo on me. It'd be heel versus baby. I'd be beating you up. I'd be dancing. They'd boo. Right, everything, and you would come back, and on your comeback, you'd punch me, and the crowd would be going, woo, woo, woo. They're invested in the storyline of the good guy finally getting comeuppance on the bad guy and beating him up.
Right.
And they were these days, like this audience, like they've become so smart that like they think they know so much about the work, and like they watch it, and they're like, oh, that was very creative and artistic, and they'll like applaud the art, they'll applaud the thing that. Bro, nobody's emotionally invested because these guys, it's like there's nothing to get emotionally invested in. They don't cut promos to get you really like to care about whether they win or lose or not. Like all the promos today are just kind of like window dressing for the fact that like, okay, hey, these guys are going to have a good match. How many stars are going to get? And that's the way these fans watch the show.
And here's another thing: you look at two guys from our era that are still around, Chris Jericho, Heyman. Their ability to manipulate a crowd, or the fact that both companies use stars from, the Attitude Era to draw interest in ratings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And these are guys from over 25 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, think about
What's that
Sting.
telling you?
Sting's still prominently featured.
Here's what it's telling you. It's telling you half the audience is like over 52 years old. Mm-hmm. So like literally like half the audience, there's a lot of people that remember the people from 25 years ago.
Yeah, but it's so funny because I always read that that's the audience, but I never really see that in the crowd. No, it's not like really an older audience.
Because they won't go to these. Because bro, the older audience went to the shows when the fans were that crazy.
They watch it at home.
They go to the show now and they see the way the fans. They don't want to watch it. Like you want to go. Do you want to look at that crowd Like you used to, bro. I remember that the high school football team would be in the crowd.
Right.
Playboy models would be in the crowd. Hot chick strippers, Hooters girls would be there. So you look at the crowd today, and it's like they're kind of just like you said, it's a nerd culture, but it's visually a nerd crowd.
Right.
They're all got black T-shirts on. They're all kind of like
purple hair, piercing.
They're all like clap and stuff, and they're all And it's
got
like,
a book
why
bag.
would you want to go and sit with those people to watch these shows?
Yeah.
Well, that could be part of it.
Kind of, if it is nerd, you're right. They're drawing nerd culture, and it's like a lot of people just are not nerdy enough to go watch these shows live with them.
And everybody in the crowd's got a title belt. Everyone carries a belt.
Everybody carries a belt.
Well, that's funny coming from you that you took a picture with who was it? With
I had the Ric Flair world belt when I saw Conrad and Eric. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just did that for my I just did that for my dad though, to have a cool picture.
I kind of wonder what type of fans listen. I wonder if the wrestling fans, like the not nerd culture fans, if these people are just kind of like the people now that just maybe they just watch the they
YouTube,
just listen to the podcast
or listen to the podcast. Yeah, a lot of our listeners say
they listen to Eric.
They get
listen to Eric Bischoff. They listen to Kurt, stuff like and like they don't really watch the show. Like there's people that tell us like, hey, I
they just want to hear they tell me that too. They just want to hear old stories,
Yeah.
Or they want to hear
childhood.
like us, if they'll watch the shows if we endorse stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they'll listen. Then they'll watch it. They'll listen to us talk about the shows and say, "Oh, that sounds good. Maybe I'll watch it because we endorsed it."
Right.
So it's like,
but I'm asking for the people that are listening to K100 Talks. Who are the cool characters nowadays that you can compare to the NWO and Hall and Nash and Rock? Where are they? Who are we missing? Because I don't see them.
Yeah, I mean, if we tried to list them, is there anyone you could say like MJF? Brian. But Brian, Daniel Bryan, yeah.
Daniel Bryan is not cool.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan is like he is like part of the nerd culture, but he's a great performer.
Well, where would he be in 1997 or 98? Where would Bryan?
He would have been just a
cruiserweight champion, or something.
He would have been wrestling Dean Malenko, Jared. He would have
been the cruiserweight division.
Yeah,
cruiserweight division. Yeah, and he would have been a good guy that has good. He would have been the guy that like a lot of the guys want to go work with because he has a good match, but you're not going to draw any money with him because he wouldn't be that much over because he wouldn't get the mic time. He wouldn't get that's what he would be.
And the Attitude Era,
elevated.
You had so many guys that could, conceivably be like, oh, Goldberg's champion. Here's 10 guys he could feud with in the next year. Right now, I think WWE's biggest problem is I don't see anyone coming up or on the roster, or whatever, that you could conceivably think, oh, he's going to be a big challenger for Reigns. Reigns is so far elevated above everyone else that his matches they're foregone conclusions. We've said that on the show. You knew he was going to beat Owens. You knew he was going to beat Bryan. You knew he was going to beat, whoever.
Yeah, but I saw a guy like Cross as a guy that could fight him.
Yeah, so did I.
And they just got rid of him, So it's kind of weird. Like, I don't, like you said, there are few and far between. Like this Braun Breaker guy might be a guy that can fight him. Steiner's kid.
Yeah.
But he's still kind of green,
Yeah.
So
what happened with Samoa Joe? That would have been a great fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never really trust. I don't know with trust or whatever, but they only used him as fodder for guys that were above him.
Joe's the man, bro. That would have been a great match. He's believable. He can cut a promo, and he gives great matches. I don't know what Very weird. Okay, so anyways, if you guys got anybody that, if we missed anything here, any comments, make sure that you send them to, where's the letters, Joe? K100 Questions?
K100questions at gmail.com, yeah.
At gmail.com. All right, everybody, have a Happy New Year. Glenn, Joe, have a Happy New Year's.
All right, peace, guys.
Peace.